Good evening, Californians, and welcome to Red Star Report. It's Friday night, May 7th, 2021, and this is Voices for the California Nation. Tonight I'd like to talk some simple truth about race relations in America. Seems to be our theme for tonight. One of the most pervasive arguments we make in the movement for California independence is America can't be fixed. No matter what Republicans and Democrats say, no matter what the media that relies on the D.C. circus to put clowns on your TV night after night tells you, it's true. So tonight, let's shine a light on America's social justice. In a Minnesota court, we recently watched as America proved it only takes 11 months, 1,000 BLM marches, and ceaseless media barrage of indisputable video footage showing the cold-blooded murder of a helpless black person for a killer cop like Derek Chauvin to be found guilty on all counts of the brutal homicide of George Floyd. So, fuck, hooray. As the USA exhaled in what many saw as a long overdue and justice for all victory moment, police across America celebrated that event by executing 6 black people less than 24 hours after the Chauvin verdict was announced. Folks, that's the thin blue line's little way of reassuring America who's getting protected and who's getting served. So what are we getting at? Red Star Report is shamelessly dedicated to the eventual independence of California, a truly free country that may finally live up to the ideals of liberty, peace, democracy, and prosperity in a real nation of the people, by the people, and for the people. That means all the people. A truly just, fair, and diverse nation that the USA, 245 years after a bunch of slave owners had the fucking nerve to write all men are created equal, has utterly failed to deliver, and seems to be working tirelessly to avoid ever becoming. To be crystal, I support BLM in the fight for justice and equality against racism and brutality. These are California values. I just don't believe 1 million Black Lives Matter marches can fix America's racism problem. It's been there too long. Because excluding California, this racial division shit is what over half of all Americans support, or at least are willing to tolerate. In 2020, within a margin of error of a 50-50 voter split, Americans barely ended the openly racist and California hostile presidency of Donald Trump, an utterly corrupt shit creature who started his campaign with a cowardly and openly racist attack on immigrants and people of color. Trump's candidacy in any non-failed democracy should have been laughed off as a bad joke, but not in America, even in the 21st century. Unfortunately for California rebels, although we see how independence might deserve some love from BLM and other human rights groups as a viable alternative to America's failure to evolve, most Californians are still in the sugar-coated honeymoon stage of the Biden-Harris win. They were woke for 4 years, but now it's past their bedtime. They've gone back to sleep in the comfy delusion that somehow both the fight for basic human rights and the evolution of California independence are no longer needed. I get it. After 4 years of Trump lies and dog whistle politics, putting up with his inbred fascist, racist, superstitious, maggot followers on the news night after night after night, this defeat of his feels like there was some vindication for the USA to be had. But that seems ridiculous. Rosy notions that a razor-thin Democratic victory, only made possible by monumental African-American efforts taken in Georgia, is going to finally fix constitutionally broken USA? Is that a joke? Bad news, Californians. Half of Americans want to still support Trump's disgusting vision of an Anglo-Saxonized America. Without the vote of Californians, Trump and his grand old party allies would have easily won what's left of the good old USA, and those white supremacist maggots are still out there. They haven't crawled back under their rocks or given up or suddenly evolved since they lost the last election. If anything, they're even more Q-sane, militia radicalized, and privilege desperate than before. They even stormed the Capitol. They didn't know what to do with it when they got there, but they stormed the Capitol. They believe Californians and people of color are enemies of America, trying to destroy their random gun violence and gross polluter-based freedom with the socialist evils of equality, higher education, renewable energy, and universal health care. They've convinced themselves that scrapping the fundamental principles of one person, one vote democracy is even somehow ordained by God if it can save their illusion of a strong white America, even as they deny racism in America in the first place. And as Americans, we can see it. They aren't even trying to hide multiple new white supremacist voter restriction laws in red states that dared to cost their Ober-Trumpenführer the 2020 election. And to make sure it doesn't happen again, legislatures outside of California have taken up the Trump battle flag and introduced 360 voter restriction bills in 47 states just to make it absolutely sure it's going to be harder for people, for black people, poor people, young people, and people of color to vote. They're going to take back America again and again. Even if they have to cheat, and as many times as they have to do it, as long as it takes, by whatever means necessary. And there's never any progress. American politics is just going to be a right-to-left swing cycle that never moves forward, never ends, from whippings to lynchings to shootings. America's racism has been there in one form or another for 2.5 centuries. And that's the way 49% of Americans want it. So even if Biden's win feels good, the American reality is it's only good till the next federal election swing. As Californians, we must recognize the facts. It's been 50 years since Martin Luther King's dream should have made Black Lives Matter unnecessary. It's been over half a century since the signing of the Voting Rights Act, but America just had to roll those rights back. And it's been 30 years since Rodney King's beating, but the thin blue line will execute another person of color without cause somewhere in the USA tonight. And that's the American reality. That's not the California dream. No. Like Martin Luther King's dream, the dream of California independence is for a better future. It has no expiration date, and both dreams share promise, hope, common values, and an inevitability. Californians, consider the future. This is Voices for the California Nation. We are Red Star Report. And now it's time for activism and action with Shankar Singham.
How you doing, folks? Shankar Singham here with another Red Star Report on activism in action. Actually, this is going to be kind of a little bit more of a rant in action because just absolutely fed up of what people have been saying out there about what defund the police actually is. I don't think anybody really has a clue. There's just so much right-wing garbage going out that's and disinformation going out that people just really don't understand what it means. Does it mean that we have no more police anymore? Does it mean that there's just no cops anymore? No, absolutely not. That's not what it is. Before I get into that, let's talk about this week's actions. The first one is quite all of them. Of course, all of them quite sad. Again, both of them have to do with police. First one is with Hector Hernandez, who was gunned down in front of his home with his hands up. He was attacked by the police dog, which he defended himself against the police dog, which the police dog's handler, the cop, Officer Farrell, went up to the Malay and shot Hector twice in the chest, killing him instantly. This is in front of Hector's neighbors and community who saw the entire thing, who thought the police overreacted. Right here, you're about to see footage of Fullerton City Council where you have the community and the neighbors come out to plead with Fullerton City Council to ask the district attorney to prosecute Officer Farrell, which this is an absolute exercise and waste of time. There's no way the Fullerton City Council is going to ask the district attorney to do this. The district attorney is a right-wing blowhard, full of himself. This is his first year or first session as DA, and he's probably going to win a second term unless somebody steps up. Unfortunately, he plays dirty during elections, and this is how he wins. His name is Todd Spitzer. So here is footage of the family, friends, a community of Fullerton coming out to City Council, to Fullerton City Council, to beg for or ask for prosecuting Officer Farrell. Also, take note: the police chief is right in front of where the people are speaking, and look at his smug, look at his face, like he's just tired of hearing this, like he can't, like he's got better things to deal with. And the police chief the fire chief is sitting next to him, the police chief, and he's looking at the police chief like, look, you're an asshole, man. I mean, we responded to this call with our paramedics and to save his life because you guys, we're tired of responding to your guys' shootings by trying to save these people's lives. That's the fire chief's look. I think it is. But take a look at the video, check it out. Try to hold back any tears because it is pretty heartfelt.
Chief, I don't know how you can look at this and justify anything that the officer did here.
Please direct your comments to the council.
Okay, so this is not what we expect from policing in Fullerton. This is a clear murder. Hector was on the ground. He had every right to defend himself from a dog that was sent to attack him while he was doing what he was told with his hands in the air. So he had every right to defend himself. The law clearly specifies that you can use deadly force only to protect human life, and it's that way for a reason. Otherwise, any officer could just use a dog to set people up whenever they want and shoot them.
Yep.
You clearly just say, oh, get him, dog, and we know that probably 99% of the time someone's going to try to defend themselves from a dog biting them. So an officer would just be able just to shoot people whenever they want at will. Instead, he was screamed at by at least 10 officers who were telling him all the same thing, something he's already doing. So they basically intimidated him back to where he felt secure in front of his house, and he never dropped his hands. How do you justify moving up and shooting someone? It's very simple. He saw his dog get injured, and he killed him because he didn't want his dog to get hurt any further. He lost all sight of his training, moved up fast, and decided, I need to kill him to stop him from hurting my dog. And that's against the law. So how could he just roam the streets of Fullerton like this is not a problem? If he cared about the city, this isn't the best we have to give the citizens in the city. I mean, this makes no sense. I shouldn't have to be here complaining about this. I had more trust in my police department and the prior city council that they would fix this problem. We shouldn't even have this conversation. I understand this is a tough job, but this isn't the way you do your job. There's a lot of training put into these guys. And for an officer just to lose himself and lose all his training and decide all I can do is kill him to stop him from hurting my dog, and this is what he does, and everyone just look at this and act like, well, let's not talk about it. It's okay, we got a lawsuit. The lawsuit's going to be there financially. We want justice. We want this officer not to be on our streets.
Right. So, your 3 minutes up. Thank you.
Good job, Phil.
Good evening, council members. My name is Amina Mirza Kazi. I'm a Fullerton resident. I'm a mother of 4 an attorney, and a concerned community member about what happened to Hector Hernandez that night. The more I've learned about what happened, the more appalled I am at the lack of accountability, the lack of response, and the lack of information that we have been getting as a community, despite multiple demands for information. We all know about the Derek Chauvin verdict today. Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison said, "I would not call today's verdict justice, however, because justice implies true restoration, but it is accountability, which is the first step towards justice. And now the cause of justice is in your hands," meaning the people. Our community has not even been able to take that first step towards accountability because we do not have the video footage released. We do not have access to the witness statements. We do not have access to the autopsy report, which we're hoping that you council members can all influence by getting that released to the community and the legal team.
And to the family.
And to the family, of course, the neighbors, Bill, who was there. All we're relying on are the witness statements of Bill and others who saw this murder in real time. We're also requesting that you address what we are seeing as community members of the issue of policing in our communities and taking some of the resources for the policing for mental health crises, domestic violence issues, and finding alternate, maybe bold, maybe innovative solutions to solve those issues. Last August, I was watching a police encounter of a Latino man pulled out right next to Sunny Hills High School, put on the curb, 3 police vehicles. And what had he gotten pulled over for? For not having his friend license plate on. He was pulled over, and as soon as I started recording, the officers threw something, they wrapped it up. And I said to the officers, "Where's your reasonable suspicion?" "We don't need reasonable suspicion. He didn't have his license plate." "Well, what justified the length of this encounter?" "Ma'am, this isn't our training. This is how we're trained." "Oh, you're trained this way?" They said, "You can file a complaint." And I said, "Well, I have other avenues to address that." And that's another reason why I'm here tonight. You are our avenue to address this crisis in our community, to take that first step towards accountability for Hector Hernandez, and to make sure that my children, my black and brown children, have the freedom to walk their streets, to drive their cars, to go to school, to go run errands for mama when I'm too tired after a long day, and not have to be threatened by police officers who may take their lives, their dignity, and my loved ones. Thank you.
Okay, so that was the residents of Fullerton coming on out to beg for prosecution of the cop. Since Officer Farrell has been back on duty as of this week, and nothing's going to happen to him, or the district attorney is going to do anything at all. Then nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to happen here because there's no accountability here with the police anymore, and it's just absolutely disgusting. The second rally that happened this week was for Isaiah Cervantes, who is a individual that's he's on the spectrum. He's a little bit slow, so he couldn't understand the police commands, the sheriff's commands. Now, this is East LA Sheriff's Department, also known as the Banditos. They are probably one of the most ruthless sheriff's stations in Southern California, I would say. They have the most violations, the most shootings. They shot Mr. Isaiah Cervantes in the back 6 times while he was face down. This is a man who's autistic. That's the word I was looking for. He was autistic. It takes him about 20 minutes to tie his shoes. That's a huge thing for him. So for him to seemingly not comply with the police that shot him is an absolute joke. Now the sheriff's department, who assured the family that they would be transparent about this whole thing, bullshit, won't even release the body cam footage, won't release the name of the officer that shot him. That's how disgusting it is. But take a look at this. This is a rally outside the East LA Sheriff's Department. They had the press corps there. Many organizations turned up. And take a look. It's quite sad again.
¿Justicia para quién? ¿Justicia para quién? Gracias.
You guys have anything to say?
Thank you for that question. So I want to touch on
Be fucking ashamed of yourselves.
We don't know if it is a policy. I am not a police, but I do research and
Fucking SWAT gear and shit.
One of the things that has come forth on this case and a lot of other cases is the inability and incapability that these officers have to handle mental health situations. They are incapable of doing it.
So we want to thank you guys all first and foremost for coming out here. We really appreciate you guys showing up and spending your Sunday with us today. My name is Alejandro. I run United Brown Coalition. And we have a lot of organizations out here that came out to support these families. You know why we're out here. We're out here because the sheriffs keep shooting us. They keep murdering us. And this East LA Sheriff's Department continues to do it. I want to thank CSO for coming out here. Say their names. Laura, I don't know where Laura's at, but oh, there you go. Say their names. Thank you guys for coming out. Thank you for co-organizing this event. La Raza Killings, thank you guys as well. And the families, if the families can come up here, please. We would like to hear from you guys. Isai's family, if you guys can come up here, the Cervantes family, please.
Well, first of all, thank you. My name is Austin Dove, and thank you all for being here on this Sunday. It's a true fact that all of us would rather be somewhere else. Each one of us is involved in witnessing day by day and week by week the sheriff slaughtering black men and brown men. It doesn't matter if you're holding your hands up, if you're leaving a liquor store with some items, if you're in your own living room, sitting peacefully on your couch. The result's the same. The most vulnerable community are disabled. The most vulnerable of us are those who can't mobilize. This is Isaiah's twin brother, Isaac. They've been sharing a life together the whole time, fighting each day and struggling just to have respect and dignity in their homes. Isaiah takes 15 or 20 minutes to tie his shoes, but he gets it done. That's the spirit and determination of disabled people. And when you meet that moment with being also black or also being brown, and you're confronted by police who only know one move, why is this person not moving fast enough? Let me get my gun out. Why is this person not doing what I say? Let me body slam them. In this case, it was 16 seconds from the time those deputies put hands on Isaias, who has OCD, they were told that, who has other challenges that were conveyed to the police, to those deputies. And it still took only 16 seconds to put a shot in his back that ripped through his spine. 16 seconds. That is unconscionable. That should never ever happen. These deputies should feel responsible about that. They should be talking to their colleagues, talking to their peers saying, hey guys, we can't roll like this anymore. You take a 140-pound man, body slam him, and then contort the video to say, hey, he was coming after us. Any one of us here could take a 140-pound kid in that situation, making no threat to you specifically, no words. He could barely speak. He had a hearing aid in his left side, and they approach him and they do the same thing they do to everyone else. So we are fed up. This crowd is disgusted. I've met the entire family. I'm with them all the time. They didn't expect to be in this situation. They're a close-knit family who love each other, who work hard, trying to pursue the so-called American dream. And their lives were disrupted and ripped apart by the aggression, the one-stop shop for this department, particularly here in East LA, is to use aggressive against people who are black and brown, even if those officers are black or brown. The blue line is strong. So we have to be strong. And we're calling them out right now saying, ni uno más, ni uno más, ni uno más. Because this community, and I've spoken to so many people and it got even closer, lives in that fear. I live in that fear. I've been a lawyer for 25 years. And even when I'm driving down the street, when I see those lights, I think, okay, what's going to happen this time? That should not be the case. So we're here today to stand up for Isaias, stand up for all this community. No more lives lost. Stop the sheriff killing, stop the police killing. So thank you all for being here. Let's always stand true to this. This is an army that will stay intact and stay mobilized and stay motivated as this continues to go on. My client, who's becoming, I'm very close to him, Isaias is still in the hospital right now. He spent 3 weeks in a day in ICU. 3 weeks in a day in ICU means every day you might die. It took 2 weeks for his lung infection to kind of finally clear out. Yesterday, for the first time, he could barely stand up. He still can't eat or swallow. He has to write notes with one arm because the other arm is destroyed. He'll never walk again.
God damn.
That should never happen. So I want to thank everyone again for being here. Let's maintain this course. Let's hold these folks account. They want us to move. They came out in tactical gear because their initial response was, let's get into some ruckus. I don't know if they get overtime or what. But there's no reason to be out here with us. Their numbers are almost as what ours are. But everyone is here peacefully, and everyone here is going to stay the course. Ni uno más! Ni uno más! Justicia para Isaías! Justicia para Isaías!
So that was East LA. Now I have this other story here that I've got to share because this is the ridiculousness of how racist the police are and how stupidly violent they are, and that I don't know who's more stupid, us for not doing more, or how the police react to every single call. I mean, just last week we had a man go on a mini shooting spree and shoot 2 people by USC, and then led police on a high-speed chase. Then he gave himself up with his hands out the window on the 91 freeway, to which cops threw in tear gas and shot him. That's how they responded to that. Another man out in San Bernardino was tired of traffic zooming by his house so far, so he put rocks out on the street to slow people down, to which a motorist stopped, yelled at the man. The man came out with a shotgun, fired off a couple rounds. The motorist took off, called the sheriffs. Sheriffs came and, of course, shot the man, because that's just how they know how to deal with things, okay? Now, this story here takes place in Louisiana. Now, what does Louisiana have to do with California? Well, look, this is a national police union. This is American policing is what's being installed here in California, and it's absolutely disgusting. So here's American policing at its epitome right here. So I'm just going to say how the whole thing laid out, okay? So the one cop planted evidence on a black person, planted a firearm, planted drugs, and then murdered that individual. To substantiate that murder, he planted the guns and the drugs. He gets caught. His body cam footage gets released, and he's caught blatantly planting evidence and a weapon and on this deceased individual's car. It goes to trial. He's found not guilty. So now there's a protest in St. Louis, protesting that this cop needs to get fired or at least get some jail time for the murder of another individual. At this protest, there was an undercover policeman named Luther Hall, Detective Luther Hall, who was undercover at the protest. I don't know what he's doing there undercover for, what assignment. What are they trying to find? I mean, what? Regardless, he was undercover. And 3 St. Louis patrol officers asked Mr. Hall to lay down, hands behind your back. Now, Mr. Hall didn't want to blow his cover, so he complied with what the police did, and he was placed under arrest by the police, and then he was beaten to an inch of his life by 3 police officers. They beat him in front of the protesters, then they put him in the car, and they beat him some more in the station. He pleaded with them, he begged with them as much as he could, try to speak, that he was a police officer. They didn't pay any mind, and they just kept beating him to an inch of his life. In fact, Mr. Hall just got out of the hospital last week, and the trial for the 3 police officers also ended this last week, to which all 3 were found not guilty for beating up a black undercover police officer. So, you've got a protest for a cop who planted evidence and murdered a black person, where an undercover cop, black undercover cop, got beat up by 3 cops for being black. If that doesn't point out the blatant racism and the blatant abuse of authority by police, I have no idea what will convince you. You have your mind made up somehow that what, maybe these people didn't comply. Sorry, Luther Hall complied completely. He knew exactly what the 3 policemen were asking. He knew there was no mistaking it. Yeah, you could say he was resisting arrest or he was mouthing off. No, you can't say any of that. This is a policeman following procedure, getting arrested, and he was treated like crap, treated like a piece of shit. And I don't know if he's going to still be a policeman after that. If he is, then he's the biggest sucker that I know. In any regards, this is what is happening with the state of policing today, and I don't know what can be done. Well, there's defund the police. What's defund the police? Let's talk about it real quick. Defund doesn't mean you're ending the policemen. There's no more police. What you're doing is adding more departments, more agencies to deal with the calls that the police can't deal with, that don't know how to deal with them, because all they know how to do is shoot and kill. So what you have here in Orange County, we have Cat 911, which is a pretty well-known organization and a program that's trying to get implemented within the county, that's being pushed back by chiefs of police, by council people, and by county commissioners who are pushing this back to protect their jobs, to protect their funding. It's quite gross. But Cat 911 has the entire budget of what it would cost to get mental health professionals, nurses, hospital beds, facilities, a director, our organizational structure of this new agencies to take care of people who call 911 not for police or fire, but for mental health reasons. So they've got this entire budget set. Now, how would they pay for it? Well, the money that they would use that the police are using currently on these frivolous calls, which they don't know how to respond to, that money would go to fund Cat 911. That's it, folks. This has been implemented in Eugene, Oregon. This has been implemented in several cities in LA, Los Angeles County, and LA County is trying to adopt it again, but they're getting blowback over there as well. Orange County is getting more of a pushback, more so than LA County, but the budget is there, and it is not that much money, folks, to staff and furnace hospital beds and treatment centers for the multitudes that need that help instead of police help. If you're interested in any one of those, you can contact Cat 911. Just Google it up. They're always looking for donors, whatnot. Check it out, and check out your local community to see if they've got a program happening for an alternative to policing. It's much needed. These policemen are violent. They have zero intellectual capabilities to deal with a problem other than squeezing the trigger. So the quicker that we act as a community, the quicker we can defund and get rid of the patrol of these patrolmen. That's all I've got for you right now. I hope that sort of explains what defund the police is. Okay, it's not taking away all the cops. It's not. You have detective services that are that investigate homicides. I mean, those cops that do their job, they're great cops. But the patrol person, the person on the street, that person severely needs to get more training or not respond to those kind of calls. So that's all I've got for you today, folks. American policing and how it's affecting California. BS. We've got to change it here. It's already started in Orange County and LA County. Let's make it start in your county as well. That's all I've got to you. Have a wonderful day and an awesome tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Shankar. Let's get to tonight's talking points. News in pandemic world. 53% of Californians have received at least their first dose of COVID-19 vaccine. This puts Californians ahead of the U.S. national average of 47%. Talking point. Hello. Of course, California is outperforming the usual suspect large population states of Texas and Florida that trail the U.S. average at 44 and 43%. And, of course, this is the norm. Considering Californians now lead the entire continental U.S. in lowest case rates at 40 per 100,000, it's no surprise that even though red states got first priority on vaccines shipped from the Trump administration, the states with the most hate for Californians fall short. Again, when it comes to matching California's efforts, good try. But hey, enjoy that participation trophy, and then just shut the hell up. For tonight's second talking point, in a victory for California sovereignty and for Californians who breathe air in general, the Biden administration announced it was dropping Trump's federal vehicle emissions rule that barred California from setting its own automotive standards, which California has done for years under our Clean Air Act. In response to this news, Consumer Reports stated the EPA should quickly reinstate California's Clean Air Act waiver. And Senator Dinosaur Feinstein said the Trump administration should never have challenged California's legal authority to set our own vehicle emission standards. The Clean Air Act clearly gave Californians the right to protect the air that Californians breathe. And I want to thank the Biden administration for dropping this frivolous challenge. Talking point. Yes, Trump launched a legal challenge to harm Californians. He tried to sell it by saying that Californians' clean air regulations were so strict they were harming the U.S. auto industry. Weird, too, because the U.S. auto industry didn't back Trump's move. Trump used the weight of the U.S. federal government to tell California just how clean America was willing to allow the air Californians breathe to be. Seriously, this was a thing. Should we forget those smog alerts that the kids in the 70s grew up with? Should we ignore that today's California kids don't know what a smog alert is? Should we remember that Californians, as long as we're Americans, don't deserve to say how bad the air we breathe is if there's an asshole in the White House and a few pennies of corporate profit to be made? So really, thank you, Massa Feds, for giving California back your permission, so easily taken away, to do what's best for Californians in California. Really. That's a thing. Thank you. Criminal. And finally, for tonight, a little talking points house cleaning. Following and likely due to Trump's defeat in the 2020 election, on January 10th, 2021, a rift was forced open in the California independence movement. After years of denial in any such relationship, the former CIM media organization Yes California announced that it had been working continuously with a man named Louis Marinelli, a man whose stated priorities are the deunification of the United States for the sake of Russian interests, and who sees California independence as nothing more than a way to that goal. Mr. Marinelli, an American-born Russian volunteer operative from Buffalo, New York, had helped Yes California and helped form Yes California in 2015, but has been living in Russia for the past few years. California President, or Yes California President, Marcus Ruiz Evans, confirmed that Yes Cal was renewing and formalizing its relationship with Mr. Marinelli and would be assigning him to its new board of directors as a, quote, advisor, end quote. Mr. Evans attempted to justify these actions at a CIM Zoom conference, stating that he and Yes Cal, A, had always been the original and true leaders of the independence movement, B, were done with working with organizations that he felt couldn't get it done, a statement that ignores Yes Cal's own monumental failings. C, that Yes Cal would now be working with and supporting foreign independence movements and their agents. And D, anyone wanting to join Yes Cal could become a member of his newly formed Cal Exit Congress Board of Directors. This Congress, where half its original board members seem to live outside of California, or are California residents who primarily represent interests other than California independence, are granted advisory powers only, so that Mr. Evans and, of course, Mr. Marinelli alone make all the final decisions, and supposedly now control the California independence movement. This is a dictatorship of cronies, an arrangement that would make Vladimir Putin proud, as it allowed Yes California to consolidate CIM contacts, subvert and recruit CIM members, and generally undermine successful and established CIM organizations for Yes California's benefit. Wow, what great fun. This action, of course, blindsided and outraged the actual grassroots California independence movement organizations that grudgingly put aside past grievances with Yes Cal to work in unity for the greater good of California independence. It created short-term chaos and damaged or ended actual ongoing independence work, campaigns, and organizational efforts across California. So, talking point. Yes, California is not a California independence movement organization. California is now and has always been a willing or useful idiot's asset supported and controlled by the Russian government. Yes, California was created by Russian assets in California to delegitimize and subvert the real California grassroots independence movement and try to use it as nothing more than a tool to damage the U.S. government for the Russian oligarchs. Because apparently, with Trump's win in 2016, Moscow didn't need Yes Cal, so it was briefly free to work with legitimate California independence movement organizations. But Trump's loss in 2020 created renewed interest in Yes Cal and from Putin's government, so they tightened their leash. The legitimate California independence movement is alive and well and will never work with Yes Cal or any other agent of a hostile foreign power for the purpose of using our movement just to harm the United States. The legitimate California independence movement organizations are now and will always be dedicated to the peaceful, legal, and mutually consensual secession of California from the United States. And the legitimate California independence movement organizations are welcoming Yes Cal refugees who still seek independence without that whole Russian stooge thing. Now, FYI, and just for fun, the California, in their own words, play the video.
I interviewed that guy, Louis Marinelli, about 6 months ago, and he told me that he's over there in Russia. It's more free than we are here. Think about all this coming from, looking at it from Russia, all this stuff we're saying about America and California.
Jason was just talking about left and right, blue and red, all fascists. That's true, but California is full of them too. So separating California from the United States doesn't all of a sudden make Californians these benign, non-fascist people. The country of California is going to be just as blue fascist as the red country of the United States when we leave it. So I don't think that necessarily fixes the fascist problem. Issue that I care about mostly is the dissolution, the peaceful dissolution of the union. I think that the slogan is that we've not really taken up, what I use is the dissolution is the solution. California is only one step in that direction, but if the whole federal system were to come down, what did Einstein say about doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results? that you must be insane and things of that nature. But I think it's time for the people of California to get over it. People like Antifa are going to come and spray paint your garage door because you were against Russia
in particular. Is there any way that Lewis being involved could cause a rift with that, I guess, potential group of people that would want to get involved with CalExit? And what is our response for that? Pay attention.
The people who promote that narrative, they're never going to support this cause anyway, so I think it's better to stand on principle.
Anyone who's going to still believe that after this, they're never going to come around.
Well, don't forget that Russia also helped save the Union during the Civil War, but that's another topic for another day. And I also want to bring up one point just because it's in the news. I don't know if you're going to hear it on that side of the continent or that side of the world, but today in Moscow was arrested a group of people who were planning to kidnap the president of Belarus and his family as a part of a coup d'etat or something like that, and they are connected to the CIA. And then when you talk about Russian interference in American, it's just kind of funny, but.
You need to address Nicholas Wildstar's question. So, yes, there is a rift. And we passed a rule a while back that we're not going to talk about the other California organizations in order to keep it down, but since it's here, I need to cover it. Blah, 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 blah. 9 separate felonies that we embezzled money from a foreign government. Lewis and I were directly taking money from Vladimir Putin. Then we were personally investigated by the California government.
I'm a copy editor, Russian spy.
This is losing. Russia financially backed Yes California, period. Moving on.
Well, because the media has to show Russia in a negative light. Russian aggression. The Russian tanks and Russian troops for Russian invasion. Russian aggression. Russian interference with Russia.
Seems like we're free and clear of the Russia conspiracy theory.
Well, that's it for this week. Who's afraid of that Russian bear? Anyway, please check out our website at www.redstarreport.com. Subscribe to our Red Star Report YouTube channel. Go find our Red Star Report Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram accounts, etc., etc., etc. Because as far as social media goes, if we're not there now, we'll be there soon. And if you want a real California independence movement media group, it's all about the algorithms. Thank you to our Red Star Report Rebels for watching. Have a great weekend. We are Red Star Report.